Who has a question about our topic this morning?
Paul says, remain in the tradition in which you're called. He's not saying necessarily that you not try to improve your circumstances or that you try to improve your lot in life.
I think that's why he says what he says. Change what you can. Change what's important. But don't worry about things that aren't important. Don't worry. Just don't worry about it. And I think he's saying too, well, I know he's saying this, if you can. Maybe you can't. Maybe you're going to be a slave. And you can't get out of it. But you can still do Lord's freedom in that case. So it's not fatalistic here. It just happens. No. But Patrick, you do what you can. And there are others too, of course. Good question.
I actually have a question about the Titus passage.
Okay.
In verse, I'm sorry. In verse 8 it said, it's not a speech that cannot be condemned, that one who is an opponent may be ashamed, having nothing evil to say of you. My question is, aren't wicked people always going to have something evil to say about you?
They are, but will they aren't able to say it consistently, or they aren't able to say it believably. We're going to talk about that this morning in our teaching time. We're going to address that verse specifically, along with the 1 Peter passage we talked about last week. We're talking about the ultimate goal when we defend our faith, because I believe that verse speaks to it. The thing is that I'll just say this real quickly. When we speak accurately and truthfully about the Scriptures and about Christ, we're doing such a favor to our hearers. Because we read a verse where Paul says that every mouth may be stopped. So the day will come when their mouth will be stopped, when they have nothing else to say. So in the meantime, we do our best to stop their mouths as a favor to them. Because if they can stop their mouths now, maybe they'll repent and believe. But their mouth will be stopped at some point. It's going to be stopped. It'll be stopped now or it'll be stopped later, but it will be stopped. Sooner is better in this case. Definitely. Sooner is a good thing. Right now is a good thing. Yes?
Also a question on the Titus 2 passage. At the end it says, declare these things, exhort and rebuke with all authority. How do you rebuke? How can you get tangled up in that? The how is really important. So, what's your thoughts on that?
That's going to be an Old Testament passage. That's the New Testament. Timothy, of course, Paul wrote that to his budding pastor as well. He talks about Timothy being gentle and entreating people. Then he also talks about that which looks to us a little more hard-edged. I can at least address that by saying that we have a cultural problem here. C.S. Lewis said that you should read 2 old books for every 1 new book you read. Most of us don't do that. I read the latest thing that came off the press. I don't read too many old books. He said you should read old books. One of the reasons why you should read old books in this context, what we're talking about, is to see the way people used to talk to each other. Has anybody ever read some of those older books? John, you gave me that book, Understood Message, written quite a while ago. Well, maybe about a century ago.
Yeah.
Right, and the way they talk to each other. It wasn't like we talk to each other now with mega qualifications before everything was said. Hey, I'm not saying you're doing the wrong thing. You say something and then you say at the end, right? But hey, there's no reflection on you. I mean, we really qualify nowadays when we have anything to say anything to anybody. And the idea of rebuke is kind of like right out, entirely out. It just really is. Because it gets to be me right away. You're saying something about me. And there's no way you can love me in our culture. Think about this. There's no way Tim can love me and say anything about the wrong thing I'm doing, because the only love I'll accept from Tim is if he tells me how great I am. That's it. So if Tim is trying to rebuke me because I'm, I don't know, driving my car to a cliff, I'm about to fall over, Tim, just affirm me, just tell me what a great driver I am, and how I never goof up in my directions. That's the only kind of love I'll accept. The idea of rebuke and love being together is so foreign to our culture. And we're left with it as believers in Christ, as pastors, as parents. We're left with sort of fighting against the culture and having to utilize that to rebuke. And people don't like it, and they tell you you're not loving. And they're the ones that are wrong in this case. I've thought about this point. We'll have to discuss it. Will there be rebukes in heaven? Why not?
When you align Christ baptism.
But will we be perfectly aligned as soon as we get there, or will it be a process? Yeah, which one, yeah. I don't know the answer to that myself. I tend to think no. But if Christ were to walk in here right now and rebuke me, how should I take that?
That's love.
Absolutely.
It's actually hate, not
Right. That's right. You know, we saw that in, we saw the very thing when Christ went before Pilate and Herod. I know we've talked about this before, but Christ rebukes Pilate. You'd have no power at all, for it wouldn't have been given you by my Father. Because you remember what happened when he went before Herod? Christ didn't even talk to him. Ignored him. You're in a bad spot when Christ ignores you. He won't talk to you. A bad spot. A lot more we could say on that point. We're in a tough cultural situation here. But I hope you get a chance to read. A good one would be, I'll tell you what to read. If you can get a hold of and some of you folks might find the English a little tough. I just encourage you to embrace it and to try. Look at the way John Bunyan wrote Pilgrim's Progress and see the way they interchanged. Faithful versus talkative, for example, or Christian and hopeful versus talkative, or some of those other buy-ins or whatever people. The way they go into Vanity Fair, the way they talk. It's really different from the way we talk. Really different. The way Christian talks in that book, in Bunyan's book, Pilgrim's Progress, we would call it non-Christian the way he talks. Truly. It's a challenge. When we were more Christian, we were more open to that. I'll just give another quick example.
Yeah, I was going to say one quick thing. It's often switch. If you review, then it's a reflection on you. They say, well, you're trying to make yourself look better, and that's why you're reviewing.
Yeah. It's so rarely about what you're actually talking about, and so quickly becomes about me or about you or whatever, rather than about fixing it. I'll give you a quick example. I read my cousin Steve's book, End of the Spear. How many of you had a chance to read that or look at that book? Some of you maybe have, a few of you have, yeah. You saw the movie. The book was better than the movie. And an amazing thing showed up in that book that I wasn't expecting. I probably should have been. Those Guarani Indians who killed each other all the time. That's what they did. Average age of males, 24. You can expect to be 24 years old, and no one dies a natural death in that society. No one gets old and gets carried off to the old people's home and dies, with the nurses around. No, that's not the way they died. They died with a spear in the chest. That's how they died. Do you know what they had going on among them, though? They had extremely fine-tuned rules about how they could talk to each other. You know why? Because if they broke their finely tuned rules about how they could talk to each other, then that was a legitimate reason to kill the guy, because he talked to you all. Think of a society that all they do is kill each other, but boy, they've got all these politically correct, and it was very politically correct, rules about how you're allowed to talk. And so the way they talk, my cousin Steve talks about it, no one ever tells anyone what to do. They always ask each other, hey, would it be good if you... And to see the way they talk to each other, kind of reminds me of our politically correct rules here. If you ever get a chance to read that section, I don't know what page it is, do it. It was shocking to me. Shocking. All these rules about how to talk. And all they did was go out and kill each other. Should have rebuked each other. Like, don't kill anymore.